Hey, 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 hey. Welcome to the OK Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yo, what up, my man? Good evening. It's what is it? Friday? It's Friday, right?
Friday, August 12th. Is it August 12th? It is, right?
Yes, it is.
August
It
12th.
is. It's
Right.
it's my mother-in-law's birthday tomorrow, which is the 13th, and
Really? My
yeah,
grandmother's birthday is tomorrow, too.
and then it's
Oh, she's
Roger's
dead.
birthday on the 15th. So a lot of birthdays happening, but I'm also kind of sad because my one of the original Bakaka boys from way back just passed away this evening. So a
Which
really
one?
good friend, really good friend of ours. We refer to him as Goods, and he was one of the
Goods? I've
yeah,
heard this name before.
Goods with
Goods,
bad
what's
habits. I don't know if you've met him. I don't know if
goods, goods,
you
goods,
met the
goods?
guy, but
What's
I'm
his
not sure. I used to
goods?
Goods with bad habits. That's his nickname, and yeah, he got sick, man, and I guess as you get older, you can't deal with stuff. Your body can't deal with stuff or tolerate stuff, and I think it's like a combination, like a complication. Like he had cirrhosis of the liver or liver cirrhosis, if you know what that is. And I mean, I'll just a lot of health complications. But he's always been on the thin side. He was always like our thin friend. I'm not really sure
Mm-hmm.
if that's an indicator of somebody who doesn't have a very high tolerance for dealing with illnesses or whatnot. But he's always been, the thin guy, and he was a smoker since he was a kid. So, obviously that's not going to help you health wise. But condolences to the family, and yeah, so that's it. I got that out of the way. But of course, look at the upside of things. Happy birthday to your grandmother. Advance happy birthday to my mother-in-law, and of
No,
course,
she's dead, so, I mean, she's
oh
not
well,
celebrating her birthday, so it was
it's
supposed to be her
like
birthday, but yeah, but she's dead, so,
it's like
I
bittersweet,
mean,
man. It's like people celebrating birthdays, and then somebody who just passed away, and then your Lola's birthday, but she also has already passed away. So, anyways, what are we going to talk about tonight? Something happy, something
something
positive,
happy.
dude. I need something happy or positive. I mean, it's yeah. So anyway, shout out to Patrick. So that's a good sign. We at least have somebody first show in a week. I know. It's just crazy. One thing happened after another, and then I mean not tonight, obviously, but we had to move. I think well yesterday. Ice. Were we supposed to do a show yesterday?
Well,
Did
we
I?
were supposed to, but you sent
You
me a
always fell
message.
asleep. I don't know. I checked it. I checked it like around 8 or 9 or something. I'm like, okay, I think you're out of town because the wife said she saw your wifey post that you guys were out
No,
of
we
town.
went
So
to
I'm like,
Legoland yesterday, and I took a nap coming back. But I woke up. But I think you sent me a message early, and I didn't get to reply. So you
mm-hmm.
probably thought that I'm out. But I was like, I made it a point to wake up before 8 o'clock, at least before 8 there. So that's before 9 p.m. here, right? So I woke up around just 15 minutes before 9 p.m. here. So that's like, but then you were like, oh, okay, hey, we can do it tomorrow. So it's like, all right, but all right, okay, fine. Like,
Oh, jeez.
I wanted to
No,
do it last night. It's like,
no, no,
I
no.
wanted to do it.
They should have messaged me earlier. You should have messaged me like
No, because
before you went to sleep.
everything was as planned. I was like, all right, just
No, because
Legoland closes at 4. I was like,
I know,
I
I
need
know,
to
I know,
get
but,
back
but
to
because
sleep.
the wifey told me that and you didn't
I
reply,
know.
and so I put one in one, and I'm like, okay, all right, so I'm all set.
I was like,
And then
okay,
we were
we'll do it
already
tomorrow.
you're already like packing it in, calling it a night for Roger and myself because he was supposed to have his exam or quizzes last Friday, but the whole city or the whole country had like PLDT internet problems, so it didn't
Oh,
push through. So they had to do it. Yes, they had to do it this morning, so it had to happen today. So that's why last night I'm like, okay, might as
yeah,
well just
we're talking about an online test here, right? So it's an online class, and they're having quizzes through
yes,
online means.
yes.
Okay, all right, okay. So it's not like totally back to school yet, not
No, no, no.
face to face.
Well, he does. It's face to face, but they don't. They have exams that are face to face, I think. But This was
Right.
done on Friday for their
But they don't.
consultation.
But they don't do an everyday face-to-face class, right? It's
No, it's
still
not every day. It's
online.
not every
Right.
day. It's
Okay.
like a couple of days
Right.
per week,
Okay.
every week. So then they have an online consultation, and we also have quizzes on Fridays, and the other 2 days they have to do like the work that's assigned to them. So that's like their
Mm-hmm.
homework day. But at least he has like 2 days face to face, and if they have activities and stuff, they get to go to school. To lift Rod's mood, Provinciano is ending tonight. Oh my God, just
It is,
I
and
mean,
it's
you had to bring it up, Patrick. I didn't even know. Like I couldn't care less, and now you brought it up. Now I'm really
now,
down.
right and now he's really down.
I mean, I guess, I, I mean, what
Because
can
he
I say
knows
about
that
that?
after Provinciano, something is up.
Yeah,
Like it,
I told
I
you the
mean,
City Boy,
City Boy is coming up.
City Boy.
Could be.
Starring Andrew E. Andrew E is always playing this role of this provinciano guy who, moves to the city and just like,
That is
what,
so true. That is so true.
all his stuff gets stolen after disembarking from the ship, and all hell breaks loose, and he meets all these like, loser street guys who happen to be altisoy looking, and one barely can speak Tagalog, and we're supposed to be convinced that he's, one of Andrew E's, street boy friends. Forgot that Patrick Guzman, those guys, Rafi Rodriguez.
Hmm.
I mean, those guys don't look like tambays ng Lansangan, you know what I'm saying? Those guys look like tambays in Dasmariñas village or something. But Andrew E, yes. Andrew E, I get. I get if he's the guy from the province or something. But the other guys with him, I mean, okay, we'll buy it. All right, Patrick, thank you for joining the show. Did we have something planned for tonight? Do you have any pending?
No, not. I don't think so, man.
It has to
Not
be something
really.
happy though. It can't be something that will get us riled up or well, prices of sugar gone up. No, I mean, people can't buy soft drinks here. I was like, what? I'm like, really? Like, no soft drinks. Like no soft drinks, man. You can go to the groceries, no soft drinks. I don't know if you've spoken to any of your relatives here or know of that, but there's a soft
No
drink
soft
shortage because of the sugar, because of the short supply of sugar.
That's weird.
I know it's weird, right? I mean, like, because my wifey told me about this the other day. She said she bumped into a couple of her friends who were doing the grocery shopping here in Azuela, here in Lanang, and I'm like, don't they live like downtown, and the other one lives like in Ecoland or something? Why are they shopping here? And she goes, well, because they went through all the groceries looking for like Coke and soda, and they couldn't find any. Like apparently stocks are out. I'm like, really? And I thought it was a logistics thing. I thought maybe like
Right.
the ship carrying all this like cases of Coca-Cola like tipped over or something, got caught in a storm. But apparently it's a sugar thing. Is Soda Stream available in Philippines or Japan?
It
I'm
is
sure.
available here. This is the first time I'm hearing of it, but I checked it out. Yes, we do have it. You can get one through Amazon. And here's a Japanese manufacturer brand. It's a Sakuraido Brio Maker HDTS 001 carbonated water maker. It costs around 4,695 yen. So yeah, I don't know how this works, but so from my understanding, you can make your own sparkling water through
Yeah,
this freaking machine, right?
it carbonates it, like it fills it up with obviously carbonation, and it's quite easy. Like you make your own drink. Like you can turn your juice, you can turn your whatever. But I've tried that because my sister in the States has it, and I've tried that, and it's not the same. It's like it's a lot like
It's like
what is
making
that?
your own lemonade and going to
What
a
is that?
restaurant
Is that
and getting a
Schweppes?
lemonade.
Is that Schweppes that drink in a can where you can drink it with like
Is
gin or
that a
something?
sparkling water type of
Sh-
brand?
Probably. I think it's sparkling water, but it kind of tastes like that. It's not. I mean,
We have
unless
so
you.
much. We have so many brands here. Like even for example, Seiyu, it's a supermarket. They have their own brand, like Seiyu
Of soda.
sparkling water. Yeah, they have their own soda water. So I
Yeah,
get those. I try to avoid soft drinks, so I get the sparkling water.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, unless
so yeah,
you have like the syrup or the actual like Coca Cola whatever that you mix in with the Vendo machine, then I get it because I used to work I used to work at a clubhouse. It's like a restaurant at a golf course, and I did that. I would replace the tanks, and we had the obviously soda dispenser, and you would know that it needs refilling when it's all bubbly. Like the only thing that would come out is like mostly it's too fizzy and it's too bubbly, and it doesn't have the color of Coca-Cola anymore. But sometimes you miss out on that if you're, let's say the order is Sprite or 7 Up, and the customer will hand you back the glass or the cup. They'll say, this is, it's flat or it's too much, there's no more flavor. So that means it's scheduled to be replaced. You have to replace those, it's like tanks.
Right.
And they contain like the syrup, apparently, that's the Coca-Cola, and then it's just mixed in with the carbonated water. And there is a difference in the taste, right? I ask you, do you prefer bottled Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Vendo? The one from the dispenser.
Well, it's the same because
There's a difference. There's a difference.
It's in a PET bottle, so it's. I don't.
No, not the dispenser like where you put your money and then the bottle falls. No, I mean like the refilling thing, like the ones in 7-Eleven or the ones at SNR.
All right, you mean those like machines?
Yeah, the machine where you just there's an ice
Okay,
dispenser. You guess.
But it really depends. I mean, it's probably, man. I know there's a difference, but
There's a difference.
If I put a lot of ice in there,
Yeah, it's gonna
usually
water it all down. To taste the same.
yeah, but no, but I mean, if it's really cold, and like you drink it in less than about 3-4 minutes, it tastes okay. But
Yeah, Patrick's
then if
right.
you let-
Lasawang sa machine because it's the mixture is not exactly the same as it would be in the plant.
Like, really?
Yes, it's not because there are times where the carbonated water might be too much compared to the syrup, or it needs to be refilled already, and obviously the staff won't be tasting that every 5 minutes to know when it's scheduled. It's usually a customer will complain, then we'll know, or you just know because the bubbles. There's too much bubbles. But Patrick's right. Lasawang sa machine. It's not as sweet. It's not as compared to, let's say, the ones that come from the bottling plant. But that's the thing. No soft drink shortage in the Philippines. So don't be surprised if you buy a liter of Coke and it's like overpriced. Usually what happens with scarcity. So you guys don't have that issue? No shortage of anything there?
no, I mean, no, I don't think we have that issue here right now. Yeah, nothing. But speaking of death, well, yeah, Lydia de Vega died too, right? So
Yes,
you
yes.
heard of it? So
My
she's
wifey
only
told me.
57. She's only
My wifey told me.
57. I can't believe she died at 57.
So I guess running isn't that healthy after all, huh?
No, I mean she had cancer. So
Oh shoot.
and
Okay.
she had cancer. So I thought so. When I first heard the news, it didn't say there how she died, but I was thinking that it should be cancer. Then Sherry Hill too died, man.
Yes, that was also cancer, right?
And I was like, holy crap.
That was also cancer.
And she's only what? Like how old is she?
Uh,
Is she like in her 50s too?
60 probably at the most. I don't think. Bill Russell died.
Well, he's old. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, wow,
an old
I mean,
person died.
okay,
When
well,
an
I
old
feel
person
sorry.
died,
I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the old folks. ICE is just this has no sympathy for whatsoever if you guys like
Well, I mean-
croak. Olivia Newton-John died,
well,
and she was always exercising. Let's get physical, physical. Let's see. Exercising isn't necessarily.
I think she also
Bill
died
Russell
of
was
cancer.
Oh my gosh. Bill Russell was also a basketball player. So he was also athletic.
know.
These are all athletes.
1963. That makes her like what?
Older than me.
1963.
59. 59.
59.
Or
See?
58.
Less than 60. So it's. See, I mean, if you die at 80 plus, I mean, that's kind of like, all right, oh, he died or she died, right? But if you're like in your
No,
50s or
they
even
would be
60s,
like,
it's really?
if somebody
That's
died like
so
they were
sad.
90, but people find out, they would be like, she was still alive. The reaction would be different. Buhay pa pala to. I mean, it's like,
Let's
I mean,
check
that's
because I'm sad that Bill Russell died, but Bill Russell's like what? Okay, he was born 1934, and he died 2022. So how old is
very
he?
old. 90, I think. 90
All right,
something.
so see,
90.
it's kind of like that's a good life, right? I mean, yeah, I mean that's a good life.
Well-
It's sad that we like we lose these people and they're like I mean they're world treasures. I mean Bill Russell, man. I mean he's a legend. but he's like what? He's up there.
Shaq and Charles Barkley should be careful. I mean, if Bill Russell was like,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
if
very.
Shaq died, I'd be shocked. Like, what? Oh my God, Shaq died. Right? I mean, when Kobe Bryant died,
Oh, that was hard to
that was
digest.
big.
I'm not a
You
Kobe
know,
fan, but it was hard to digest. That was
even
like,
up to now, I'm
what?
like thinking, wow, he died. Holy shit.
Yeah, probably the most shocking death. Um, I mean, I heard about Princess Diana too. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, one as well.
That was
I
that
mean,
was like
I didn't really
whoa.
know who
You
she
know.
was. I know that she's a princess of some sort, but when she died, my dad was glued on TV, as well as my mother, and I don't think it really affected them. But I mean, they didn't leave the television set. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole day they are just
I
looking at the
I kind of
news
was
and watching.
affected. I kind of was affected because we lived in
Yeah,
like
because you lived in the
my
UK,
dad was
right? You lived
based
in
in
England.
London. Yeah, my dad was based in London, and we stayed in Kensington High Street, which was the main street in London, and we would always just walk to the park, and there were two major parks there, Hyde Park and Holland Park, and one of the
Hmm.
parks there actually has the residence of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Yeah, because when I was there, that was only like a year after they got married. This was like early mid 80s, so it was only maybe a year
Have you
after they got married.
seen her?
So they were still very celebrated. No, I haven't, but I know the royal whatever motorcade has gone through several times, and well, I just couldn't. I wasn't interested. I was like what 11 years old. How old was I then? 10 years old. So I couldn't care
Right.
less. But I just know because like that then she was kind of celebrated
Mhm.
because they were just married like maybe a year or two, and she wasn't really super like blue blood or whatever, and she was kind of very she was vocal, and she wasn't, she was simple. And if you're royalty and
Right.
you're simple, then but anyways,
Okay.
Kobe's
So how
death
about
unexpected.
Kate? So is Kate Middleton super blue, like super royal blood? Is that what it is? Because
Kate
she's
Middleton.
well off.
I'm not sure, but I think she just basically she just really embraced her role and her duty as well. Like she's not trying to do her own thing. So I think she's because she's obedient in that sense. And maybe even if she wasn't 100%, but I think she is. I think she probably has a little bit of royal blood. I mean, I'm sure she's come from a wealthy family. But like I said, she is an obedient. What is she? What is she? A duchess? What's her
She's
title?
a duchess. She's a
Okay,
duchess.
a duchess. So because like I remember, I think almost around that time too, when Diana married Charles, maybe a year or so. Prince, was the brother of Prince Charles? Andrew, was it Andrew? Prince Andrew
Hmm.
married Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, and Sarah Ferguson was just like, it's like the Brit was like from Manchester. Like she talks like she's Cockney. She was red haired. She was very outspoken. She was very rebellious. She didn't act royal at all, and that became an issue. And I think topless pictures of her were taken. And in the UK, their Sun newspaper would post pictures of topless women. It was normal. Like it's a newspaper you can get anywhere, and kids are used to seeing it. But they're called page three girls, and the page three was like always a topless woman, and that's how I think Samantha Fox became famous. If you're familiar with Samantha Fox, she became famous back in the day. She was a page three girl because she was one of those girls whose breasts were on display in the national newspaper, the Daily Sun. But anyways, yeah. So I think that's the issue. Like if you sort of like Megan now. Megan, right, is the wife of what's his name? Harry,
Hmm. All
the
right. Okay.
actress.
Here's the thing. Um, Kate is actually not from a royal blood. The reason for this is simple. It says here, Catherine Middleton was not of royal blood, and what applies to her will also apply in the case of Meghan Markle. Royal blood meant that the Queen's late sister Margaret was entitled to call herself Princess Margaret. All right. So she is not, though I think her lineage goes um, way back to King Edward the Fourth, but
Wow.
through an illegitimate whatever. But well, she is not. It says here she is not. But like what you said, she embraced the role of being a part of the royal family. I think that's what made it, like easy for her. It's easier for her because she embraced it, and I think
Okay.
she likes
Yeah.
doing it. And she just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not one of those people like, hey, I'm I want to do things my way, and that's
Yeah.
not gonna work if you're in the royal
Yeah.
family. You have to
Yeah.
do certain things in certain ways.
You have duties.
Yeah,
But
and I think
you
she's
know,
okay with it. She's not
and
as vocal as, like opinionated as Meghan Markle, maybe. You
yeah,
know,
and Meghan Markle's like from Hollywood. I mean, she's straight out.
right? Yeah,
I mean, she's she was her own person already before she met and married Harry. I'm sure she's gone through a lot of relationships. She's been through a lot of wild stuff. And the thing with Harry though is that Harry kind of probably felt like he had the freedom to choose who he wanted to marry, and he's choices. He had more options because he wasn't really the one who was directly next in line. So the pressure
hmm
wasn't on him; it was on his brother, and Prince William. So he was like, but then again, obviously, the Queen Elizabeth, still had her eye on wherever her grandchildren were tying the knot with, and I think she saw certain behavior patterns, or that she just, I don't know what it was, but they didn't want to live like royals. I think that was the issue. And people are probably mocking them for that. It's like, you have everything already, who would not want to be living in royalty? But you have to understand, you have a duty. I mean, even just let's say in politics, even let's say just it doesn't even have to be the royal family. If, let's say you have a position or something, you have a title. There are certain rules that you have to abide by, and there are certain behaviors that you're not supposed to partake in, or certain activities that you should not be caught participating in. And it's a pressure, especially for the younger ones who want to have fun. Would you want to be Ice? Would you want to trade in a simple life for a regal life with the consequences of having to
no,
walk and
no, no, no,
talk?
no, not a chance, man. Not a chance in hell. Why would I want that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm from a family where we don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad is not old fashioned. There are people who are old fashioned. Me, I talk back to my dad. It's fine. I didn't grow up in a family where, tradition is, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
We don't follow
No,
tradition. My dad was
I
very
hosted your
liberal.
cousin's wedding, and your relatives, everybody was very vocal and very. I don't know, like you guys have no filter. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was like I kind of got used to it. It's like,
Yeah, it's
you know,
so I'm coming from that sort of background, so I wouldn't no, I wouldn't want that. I don't want my actions to be limited. I'm like, I think most of us are stubborn in the family, and we kind of like sort of kind of like how how do I say that?
go against the flow.
We no, we don't really go against the flow, but we
The
we kind
you
of
steer the pot. The more you are, let's say, restricted, the more you try to break free.
Well, not really. Me, I'm in that sort of like I have that personality, but it's just that because our grandfather was so strict, maybe that all of his kids didn't want that. My
Okay.
grandfather was like, no, you can't eat like not wearing a shirt,
Yeah, my
and in my
lola's like
house,
that.
like we eat like like we can be like um naked and we can just like eat just with our shorts on. It's fine. My dad wouldn't ask you to wear your shirt, we're eating. Like, no, it's not a big deal. We would eat while we're talking. Like, some
Yeah.
families would be like, when you're eating, no talking
Yes.
when you're eating. Like, no, we
Yes.
just like
Yes.
talk, we're
It's like one of
loud and
the first things that you're told when you're a kid. You're always told to say, "Please pass the rice." You're always told to put
no,
your
nothing
spoon in
like
your
that.
fork this way. I mean, we were always trained that way.
No, no.
Um.
So it's like, even with those things, like I go to places or I go to houses, friends and stuff, and they kind of have that in their house. I'm like, oh man, I can't live in this house. I'm like, can't. I mean, I don't know. It looks refreshing because I'm not from that type of family. So it's kind of like, oh, they have like order here. We don't have order in my house. There's no order. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
refreshing, but I mean, I don't think I can live in a house like that. So let alone if you tell me that, oh, you become a royal, and I can't do other things. I mean, no, 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 thank you, no, thank you. I love my freedom. I love my liberty. I can do what I want. I can say what I want. I can make mistakes. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
I
I
would love to
guess
have that.
I guess that's why, like I said, it's always harder for somebody who's from the outside looking in. And for let's say William and Harry, they grew into that. That's the only thing they know. They did not experience, the
Right?
normal
Yeah. And
upbringing.
for them,
So
it's probably
that's their
a
thing.
normal thing. So it's
But
fine.
for let's say Megan or Princess Diana or Fergie or whoever, these people were normal people. They traveled without bodyguards. They woke up without servants. They didn't have
Yeah.
to go to charity, well, polo
Here's
games.
I really hate it.
And
Like, for
now it's like,
example, um we're talking about, okay, all these celebrities, all these famous people, and all these royalties and whatnot, right? My wife kind of, she's into these things. She would just be on her phone and she'd start
Follow it.
talking about these people, right?
Yeah.
And she's talking about this particular scandal right now that's happening in the Philippines about Maggie. What's her name? Maggie Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get it right? Like, I don't know. Is Bags following that? Like the Maggie Wilson
I
story?
think I think this like model chick or binibining Pilipinas whatever chick who married like this rich
Right.
family
Yeah.
heir
And
guy.
and she's kind of like following this, and I'm like,
And
and I
she's
was
like
like,
with a
you know what?
different guy now who's like also rich. Or, I don't know, like
Yeah. I
who's
mean,
saying what? Who's telling the truth? Because the guy has his version, something like
or
that, something to
because
that
I don't
effect.
know what's going on. I don't know the actual situation. But me, if for example, like Meghan Merkel, she married Harry. I mean, what do you
Hmm.
expect? Right? Then you start complaining about like, oh, I can't. Well, yeah. I mean, what were you expecting? You
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
have. You
you're right.
shouldn't have married the guy. You
You're
know
right.
that's gonna happen.
You're
It's
right.
like, okay. It's like you met this guy, whom who's okay. Let's say for example, you're a girl. You met this guy, and the guy's from a rich family, right? They got
Mm-hmm.
money, they got wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a ladies' man, and you've
Mm-hmm.
seen the red flags and shit, and still you went through with it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
married a guy
Mm-hmm.
and just expects him to like change for you overnight. No, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you have to expect that he's gonna womanize. He is gonna have a lot of girlfriends. He's got money, he's got power. What do you
Mm-hmm.
expect,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean,
Exactly.
so I'm not saying that the guy is entitled to do that. No, the guy's an asshole.
But
Period.
most of the
Right?
time they will do it because they, like I
It,
said, they have that
yeah.
option. You know.
Right. So I'm like, I'm not a victim blamer here, but I'm saying like, what were you expecting? Like a saint? No. That's what I'm saying. Like,
But we're
no.
not guaranteeing also that if a guy is broke ass that he'll be super nice. I mean, he could.
Yeah.
That's the worst part though. It's like you marry somebody who's broke because you think he's gonna be nice and loyal, and then he's even worse. Because I mean, pobre na, playboy pa. I mean, you know what I'm
Saying
saying? It's
broke
like,
guys, dude, broke guys can't have a hold on you. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have the power, they don't have the money. They can't have a hold on you.
oh, I feel
You can
bad. I
leave.
feel bad for the broke guy. I mean, we all know what that's like. I mean, we've been there. 20 pesos in our
I mean,
wallet.
here's the thing. No, all I'm saying is if you're with a broke guy, and you can just leave anytime. Because I'm like, fuck. I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm just gonna right. But if you're
Oh,
with a
okay,
rich guy,
I get what you mean. I get what
it's
you
hard
mean.
to leave
Yeah,
that guy because he's got
yeah,
power. He can harass
yeah,
you, and he
yeah,
can
yeah,
like
yeah.
blackmail you. Like, I'm not gonna
That's
give you
true.
money and shit. And
That's
you've been
true.
dependent on
On the
that
comfort that
person.
he brings, yeah, the
Yes.
comfort and luxury that he brings.
So
Yeah.
you would be in a really tight spot if that happens. But if you're with a broke guy, you'd be like, "Fuck!" I've been like, "Yeah." Well, I mean, what's gonna change? If I leave you now, nothing's gonna change. You're broke anyways. I'll probably be better off, right? So that's what I'm saying. So all I'm all I'm trying to tell people is like when you get into something, you have to at least know what's the worst thing that can happen, right? I mean, so me, I always tell myself like I don't have sympathy for these women. I mean, they know what they were getting into, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they could have chosen somebody who's, I mean, there's a lot of men out there who are like good, and I mean, they could have chosen those, yeah, but they didn't because they're probably, to them, they're boring, and they can't provide the comfort that they want, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah,
And
so they pick the
I,
guy. So I mean, come on,
I wouldn't say just like specifically women. I know there are guys out there with just as guilty, but
it's
there
the
are.
same
Let's
with
let's
guys.
just
Yeah,
say,
it's the same with
yeah.
guys.
Let's just say there are people out there who that is their priority. They're not out there for love. They're out there for comfort. They're out there. They love themselves. That's why they can get in a relationship with somebody, even if they find them like physically revolting and disgusting, but can bring them the comfort and make them feel pampered because they
Let's say, for
love
example,
themselves. There are people who are like
yeah.
that. They're not. They don't. They
Okay,
don't love
you're
others.
saying it's not just the women. Yeah, I agree with you totally. Like men, you pick this type of woman, right? You pick this type of woman that, all right, okay.
Malande, malande. She's like a she.
Well, let's not just say malandi, but she likes the comfort, right?
Okay,
So
okay, all
don't
right.
expect her
All
to
right. She's
work.
materialistic. Yeah.
Do not expect her to work, and she would demand from you. She'd be like, "I want this, I want that. I want to go to this Zumba class. I want to get all these nice shoes. I want to get all these nice bags." So I mean, expect that. She wouldn't, I mean, she is that way when you met her, and you've given her the things that she wanted. I mean, what makes you think that when you get married, that's gonna stop? No, she'll want more. And if you know, if that takes a toll on your relationship in the future, then it's just like, well, what were you expecting? I mean, that's the way she is. You know, like for example, my friend, my best friend right now, and like we've talked about this a million times, right? And now it's going smooth because he's in a good place, and I'm happy for him, right? I just hope that when the time comes that, I mean, life. I mean, it's life. We don't know what's gonna happen next, right? So I don't want him to be in a position where when that time comes that he needs her and she's not gonna be there for him because he can no longer provide all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would be that would be a downer, right? And I don't want to tell him like I told you so. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but I hope that it continues until you know through old age because I mean now it's really going well for both of them and I'm happy for him. And yeah,
Uh,
that's just what I'm saying. But
I mean,
before that, they had problems.
I
And
totally get what you're saying. I
and
totally get what you're saying. It's like, and here in the Philippines, that's very common. I noticed a lot of people here get married for like, I mean, it's just, I mean, I host weddings, and I see through people, and I'm not saying I'm 100% accurate, but I'm old enough to kind of like, I've seen certain situations, and I, I can pretty much try to predict something, and maybe it might not be as accurate, but it's kind of a thing that happens often. And I notice here in the Philippines, like people here get married for like the most absurd reasons. I mean, I was almost pressured into getting married, to get her out of her house and take her out of her family's control, sort of. I mean, I was pressured to almost be in that situation. And imagine if I fell for that.
it's a good thing that you didn't, right?
Yes, I didn't because I wasn't raised here. I mean, I was raised here, but I wasn't like I didn't have just the 100% Filipino sentiment or values within me. I
Whatever
had
those
that.
terrible things that you went through with her, when you get married, that would
Yeah.
multiply. That
and
would
and
multiply.
and it's not a reason to get married. Like if you want your independence, then get out of your parents' house and live on your own. Because I mean, if you get married thinking you'll be out of your parents' control, you don't think marriage is restricting as well? You don't think marriage is about compromise as well? I mean, like I said, you can't do that. You can't expect your husband to be the one or your wife to be the one to rescue you for you get yourself out of it. Then, I notice also like here sometimes I have friends who like, you know, they would say buntisin na na. Like for example, like let's say I have a friend and his girlfriend's really really pretty, like beyond his pay grade, like nanalo na jackpot. But the girl's obviously being a biatch, and she knows she holds the ace of spades, and she's in control of the relationship because she's the pretty one, and the guy just like everybody obviously surprised that they're together, and the guy has to constantly exert effort and pamper her to keep her hanging on. And sometimes some of my friends say, "Buntisin na na," so that they can get married, and like he's got a lock on the girl. And I'm like, really? Like, just because she's pretty? I mean, you would impregnate somebody, have her be the mother of your children, so she's be forced to marry you, so she'll be stuck with you, and she has no choice even if she wanted out.
That's
Because she's pretty, because she's a trophy wife, or because she's a trophy girlfriend. I'm like, only in the Philippines that a guy would have that mindset. Like, buntisin na na. Or even girls, like, pikutin mo na, then mayaman, or there is a catch, or whatever. I mean, like, really? Seriously? You're talking about the rest of your life here. We're talking about a person that you are marrying for the wrong reasons, the wrong reasons. Especially, like, that's why they said, never, like, never go shopping or go to the grocery when you're hungry, right? Because you'll end up buying everything. Everything tastes good. Everything looks good. It's the same thing with relationships. If you're desperate, you think no one's gonna love you anymore. First guy I know women who are like that. Women will come from a heartache or a heartbreak,
Well,
and along
yeah,
comes
I mean,
right.
not,
Along comes this
well,
this
it's not as
guy.
bad as it is here in Japan because in Japan it's like that because me and my wife are always like talking about how relationships here are founded, like
Mm-hmm.
how it could be with the culture, it could be we're just like different people, but you know what I'm saying, like you see a couple and it's just hard. I mean, we're like trying to because there's no courtship here. It's so different from us. We have courtship in the
Bye, anak.
Philippines.
Good night. Yeah.
So we do have courtship, and like foundation is really important.
Hold
And
up.
we
I'll
have
make him
so
say
many-
hi.
Right. Okay.
Just keep talking. Come here,
right?
say hi
It's
to
more
Tito
of
Ice, man. Say good night to Tito Ice, man.
we, I mean, we have courtship and
Say good night to Tito
all right.
Ice. You haven't
Hey,
seen him in a while. Hi, Tito Ice.
Hi, Tita
Diego.
Ice.
Hey, Diego, how are you?
Say,
You okay?
say to Tito Ice here.
All right, you good? You good?
Hi, Tito Ice. Good night. Say good night, Tito Ice.
Hey,
Good
Diego.
night, Tita Ice.
Yes, good night. Did you have your bedtime story? Did you already have your bedtime story?
Say,
Your mom read you. Good
Tita
night.
Ice. Good night,
Alright.
Tita Ice.
say, magbago ka na. Say, magbago
Bago.
ka na.
No,
Magbago ka na.
Oh, I
Huh?
have. You know
Okay.
what?
no.
Diego?
I want to pee.
People don't change. They just grow old. That's what. Yeah, that's what they do. They just grow old.
Sabi mo kay Tito Ice.
They just grow old. They never change. Maybe they will for a while, but no. I mean, you know.
I want to pee.
No, the microphone. Okay,
Alright,
go back to mama na.
okay, good night.
Say good night,
Alright.
good night. Oh, good night.
Good night, Tita Ice.
Sleep well. Sleep well.
Thank,
Good night, Tita
say thank you.
Ice.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Say good night, Tito Joe Boy. Say good night, Tito Joe Boy. Say, there, Tito Joe Boy's there, oh.
Joe
Say good
boy.
night. Good night, Tito Joe Boy. Say hi. Bye-bye.
Hi.
And also Tito Patrick. And Tito Gab. Okay, alright.
Chop.
Love you. Be good
Chop.
tonight. Be good, okay? Love you.
Chop. Go, chop.
Love you.
Let's go.
Go. Ako na yung light mo.
Daddy.
Love you. Alright.
So yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah, the relationship's there.
yeah. So there's no courtship. Like it's kind of weird. I don't understand it. Yeah, I mean, I'm married to a Filipina, so I would never understand it. Like how do these people meet? Because usually like they have we don't do we have that? Because they have I think what they call a gokong here. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but they have a gokong where what they do is they would just go out in groups. So everything
Okay.
here is they have a thing for something, right?
Yeah.
With us, it's like no, we don't have that. Like yeah, we have group dates and whatnot, but it's not like
Yeah.
we have a thing. That's not a thing. Like we have
Yeah.
friends and we go out and you sometimes you get set up, but that's
Yeah.
basically like a normal thing. It's just like we don't call it anything. It's just like
Yeah.
like oh I'm going out and I'm meeting somebody. Like maybe like there will probably be guys there. You want to you want to come and
Yeah.
but it's not like we set it up because here they actually set it up like a group
Yeah.
of single guys and a group of single girls and the goal there is to find somebody to marry. So
Oh.
if I mean right, so you get into like you meet people, so that means your goal there is to actually find somebody to marry.
Okay.
So right off the bat it's that's the whole goal there. So
Yeah.
you see this person in that whatever that thing that you're doing, then right off like right then and there you can say like all right, she's okay, she's fine, I think, yeah, because both of you are like really dying to get married now. And I mean you wouldn't just you wouldn't get to know you wouldn't give time to get to know each other because your goal is to get married. So like
Yeah.
all right, I think she's fine, oh I think he's fine, all right, okay, well, let's just get married. Let's
Yeah.
let's give it like 6 months, dude. That's not enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been with my wife for about what, more than 10 years. Then we got married and boom, like holy shit, I'm still shocked with the things that I see.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the things that she saw in me,
yeah.
and like in our marriage. So that's what I'm saying. So here it's kind of like wow, it's kind of weird, like just because we were out having dinner last week, and we were with like also a couple, and I don't know, maybe it's just the way they are, like the dynamics, and it's just like you know how it's like when we're eating we don't really like, oh, can I eat this? Like, oh yeah, sure. Like, dude, like you've been married for years. It's like get like, I'll just like like, oh, really? It's okay to eat. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
Like, you don't do. I just take your food and like, hey, why did you take my food? Like,
Yeah.
well, I thought you were not gonna eat it. You're not gonna like, oh, can I eat it? Can
Yeah.
I take it? Like, you don't say it.
So they're still like that.
They're still like that, dude. They're still like that. There was like they already have 3 kids, and the lady was like, oh, can I eat more? And it was like, what? Like, really? Like,
Wow.
I don't know.
I think-
I
I think it's-
Is there really?
yeah,
I don't know.
I-
Does
I
Bag
think-
say that? Like, oh, Rod, can I still eat? Is it okay if I eat more? Like, no, right?
I mean,
that's kind of weird. Like,
I mean, she's so independent. I mean, we literally like do our own thing. There are things that we, obviously, there are things that we both share. Like we have enjoyment with the same things, and there are also things that's just solo flight stuff, and we don't really mind. Like she works out in the morning, playing video games.
What puzzles us is that they're still so formal with their wives. Like even after like three kids, they're still like, you know what I'm saying? They still have that formality. They
Yeah.
still have like really is it? So it's because like we kind of like we are kind of like how like it's not like they're you know what I'm saying? Like when they're with
I think they have
their kids. It's
boundaries.
different.
Yeah, I think they have boundaries.
Could be,
I think that's
could be.
I think that's how they are because I saw like it's not a documentary but it's like a series on Japanese people from different walks of life, and they follow these people, and there's this one woman who's like she's a housewife, and she wakes up and does the same freaking thing every day. Just go through the routine, fix the food of her kid. The husband goes to work. Husband comes home to work, watches a little TV, drinks a little beer, talks a little bit, and that's it. It's like it's almost like a job for them.
It is.
It's like
It is.
everything
It
for them
is.
is like right. Everything for them is like a job. It's like a role that they play, and I think
Right.
that's just how the Japanese are. They're always like kind of like even let's say in marriage, there's our rules. There's a role that they play. There's certain things that they do. Like you don't question your husband. You don't, like you said, you don't people don't raise their voices there, and and they're and that's what makes them. I don't know if it makes them happy, but it's probably not that it brings them happiness, but they probably brings them suffering if they fail at something. Like at work, right? If I'm doing a great job, I don't feel any satisfaction out of it because I'm just doing my job as a Japanese person. Like even if I'm doing a great job, like it's irrelevant to me. I'm not after the accolades. But if I screw it up, I'm gonna jump off a building. Like if one thing goes wrong or awry, I'm gonna jump off a building. And I think that's the thing. It's like for them, that's the thing that makes them keep doing what they're doing in a certain way is that their fear of failure. And whereas with us, it's like we're very emotional, sentimental. So much drama, dude. Right? Your first girlfriend, nagsisigawan na kayo parang nasa teleserye. I mean, I don't think that happens in Japanese relationships. I think,
No.
right?
It's quite boring, I guess.
Yeah, you've gone through that shit. You've yelled at a woman from across the street because she upset
That's
you.
what makes us Filipinos.
I know. There's drama, literal like our real life
Beauty.
drama is mirrored by the fiction drama.
You know, you talk about it to a Japanese person like how relationship goes there. I mean, how our relationship goes in the Philippines. And these are normal stuff we're talking about, right? Like you went through it, I went through it, and they'd be like, "Wow, it's like on TV." I'm like, "Yeah, basically."
That's exactly why, you know what? We just had this conversation. I don't know if it was off air, but I remember having a conversation with you. And we were talking about why this freaking Japanese porn like turns us the freaking on. Like it turns me on like crazy. Like, the stuff that they do because it's so like realistic. But you told me that they do that because for them it's like their fantasy world, like a separate
their
world that they
fantasy.
live
That's
in.
not real.
But for us, it's actually something that we try to relate with. Like we're actually thinking that it could happen in reality, but they're like doing it. I'm like, but for them, it's like that's why they're able to pull that off in their porn, in their adult movies. The storylines that's very taboo and unconventional.
Speaking of which, this is
Right?
like one of those storylines.
What if what happens if two or more guys would go for the same girl in that
Yeah,
scenario?
that's a porn plot. Patrick, that's already a porn plot right there.
May the biggest
Yeah,
Oten win. Well, you know what? Hey, I don't know. Ask Ice. I don't know. I mean,
I have no idea.
they take turns. Sharing is
just
caring.
Weird. It's just weird. I mean, I don't know.
I think it's who the girl prefers. I think it's who the girl because here's the thing, Patrick. I would say dated, but I went out and had lunch and even had a picture taken at a studio with a Japanese girl here who was. She wasn't an exchange student. She went to Ateneo. I think her name was Maya. She went to Ateneo to take English classes, but she did go to the Ateneo, the university, and I met her. I don't know how I met her, but she ended up being friends with my ex-girlfriend was an exchange student, but she was Japanese, like pure Japanese, and she was really cool. She was wearing Adidas Superstar. She was wearing jogger pants, and but you knew she was Japanese. Her skin was different. Her complexion was different. Her lips were different. I mean, she looked. So I ended up going out with her, and I'm like, but she never looked at me like she was attracted to me. And I'm like, okay, so what do Japanese girls find appealing? And she goes, oh, I like Japanese men, but I like Japanese men who are dark. So basically, she likes if you're Filipino and you're chinito, you have a chance. Which I'm not. I'm just dark, but I'm not Japanese looking. So she said that's what appeals to her, and she said that in Japan, like women kind of know what they want. Like if they like the guy, you know what I'm saying? Like they like the guy, then they like the guy. And I think that's how it would work out, Patrick. If let's say two guys went after the same girl, it would be up to the girl then. I don't think she would feel the same way about both guys. I mean, exactly the same. So she would probably be able to choose, right?
Because their women here are so empowered that, in a way, it's kind of like an empowerment. Because they're like, all right, I like you. They wouldn't even think twice to make the move. Like, all
yes,
right, I
yes,
like
that's
you,
what Maya told
like,
me.
Let's
girl
go
told
out.
me.
Let's
Yeah.
go out.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like they would invite you out. They would make the first move, and that's empowering. But in a way, it's pros and cons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like because you're the one making the move, and the guys are they basically the guys don't even try to do courtship here because I think that's just how it is because the guys here are so they're suppressed. They can't express their feelings. That's how they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
They would rather just like you know and they have other ways of expressing their feelings like outside of like the relationship. They have their sports, they have their friends, they have their nomikai, their drinking and whatever. So it's kind of like the relationship with the family or with your wife kind of like sort of takes a back seat because there's not much talking going on. That's how I see it. Like, dude, you see these couple, dude, they're in the car and they're not even talking to each other. Like with us, like we're always like you're driving and you're talking, right? You're stuck in traffic, you're talking. But these people, they just like they're stuck in traffic and they're like on their phones, and they're like they're not even talking, or they could be like watching something on TV. And I don't know if is that the norm now in the Philippines. I want to know because I would still want to think that the Philippines is still different because here you go you go to the expressway and if there's traffic, you would know that all of these people have like screens in their cars and they're just like watching something. There's not even music anymore. There's no talking anymore. And me and my wife, we decided not to have not to have like a DVD or a screen inside a car. If it's like if it's drive time, it's either music or conversation. No TV, nothing, no phones, nothing. So that's how it is. Like, how is it there in the Philippines now? Is it like people watching DVD in their cars now?
No, we still talk.
Still
We
talking
talk.
music?
Yeah, I mean,
Good.
chismis,
That's
like,
good. Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
gossip with my wife. She's my gossip
That's
partner.
very good.
Talk about other people, and I'm sure other people talk about us. That's just basically it. It makes the world go round,
They don't have that
Um,
here. They don't. They don't have that thing. They don't talk.
It's a Japanese thing, man. I mean, I think they literally could go on for like months without talking to anybody, and they will be fine because it's just I don't know what because I mean even when you watch like classic Japanese movies or like you follow the storylines of like the lone samurais and whatnot, they're very quiet. And what is a ninja? I mean, even if you say that's a fictional character or whatever, but ninjas are quiet. I mean, which is perfect for a Japanese. Only a Japanese can be that quiet. Only a Japanese can enter your domain without you knowing it because they're so quiet. And it's normal for them. It's not an effort. If it was a Pinoy,
It's like they don't want to be. It's more of like you start thinking like, do these guys want to be happy, or do they just want to like no? I mean, it's
No.
really hard to be.
Their
really
happiness
happy.
their happiness is playing the role. Like even like if it's the Day of the Dead, they have to pay respect. They have a certain ritual that they go to the cemetery, they visit, whatever. That for them will bring them happiness. It's more of like
No,
fulfillment.
From
Maybe
from
bec-
whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
It
Go
could
ahead.
be too much of like being collective, like collectivity.
Everybody's
They're
doing it.
they're so collective that you can't be happy on your own because you can't do what you want because it's like maybe they're not gonna like it. My music's too loud. They're not gonna like it. So you can't.
Yeah.
There's no individuality. Whereas in the Philippines, we have that certain individuality. Although we can be collective at times, but then we still have that Western. Like oh no,
They,
like,
they
what
have
do you
that
care?
individuality. They have that individuality, but for them, it's not a real life persona. It's a fantasy persona. Like when they do cosplay, like when they do go to Shinjuku and they dress up in all these weird outfits and they color their hair. For them, yes,
These are the-
but that's not normal for them. That's like their fantasy
like,
side. Where for
talking
us,
No, these
Right?
people that you're talking about,
Yeah.
These are the guys who are more or less not, they're not outcasts, but they're like the different, they're the weird ones.
Yeah,
The ones that
see?
you see,
There you
'cause
go.
they're only like 0.01% of the population of Japan. Not everybody goes to Shinjuku. None of
What
them
I'm saying.
like they're the ones who are like, no, I'm gonna dress like this. If you think I'm weird, I'm fucking weird. I don't care because I will dress like this. A normal Japanese wouldn't do that. They wouldn't dress like that. They wouldn't like dress like Elvis or something. So
Exactly.
these are the special ones. These are the ones who are like us, who would be like, no, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna dress like this, and I'm just gonna do it like every day if I want to. Because
Yeah,
they're just like,
but still, for them doing that, it's still kind of a form of fantasy. It's not normal because,
no,
as you
it's
can
a
see,
form of rebellion. It's a form
yes,
of rebellion.
as you can see, it's exaggerated. Like it's exaggerated. Like it's either
Yeah,
they're
because they've
super
been
straight
suppressed
or
all
they're
their
super
lives.
exaggerated.
Because,
Unlike
because
us, where
yeah, but that's the effect of being in a society where it's very collective, right? So that's kind of like it's pushing them to the extreme side of the spectrum. Whereas like if you like you know just take it down a notch, then they'd be just like us, right? Like we just like we just do what we want, and
I think
nobody
that's
really cares, not unless like you really bother other people.
I think
But
it's also
yeah,
part of the genes in your DNA, man. I mean, it's just just how they're programmed. I mean, look at the Chinese, right? I mean, I'm not saying all the Chinese, but these Chinese people, why are they successful in businesses? Why does anything that they touch, they thrive on multiplying things, whether it's their money or it's the number of their branches of their stores or whatever. It's because they're constantly busy. Like if you tell them to just sit there and relax and just like smoke a cigar or whatever, they would be like uncomfortable. And I noticed this because when I was in my third and fourth year college, we did a lot of case analysis for my business management class, and we would go to different houses. That's where we would do our group projects and whatnot. And a lot of my classmates were like from wealthy Chinese families. I mean, it's Ateneo and it's management, so all their children are taking up management. And we would go to the houses, and there was always one common denominator I would notice, and it's like the lolas, the elders in the house, are always busy. They're always like, we're not done eating yet. They would always like wipe the floor, the table already. They're already preparing. They're always like already one step ahead. And it reminds me of those old ladies and old women in the stalls in Hong Kong when they open up their shops. They're kind of just like moving and nonstop. And even if you tell them, relax, Lola, like for us Filipinos, if we see a Lola like that, we would be like, Lola, ako na. They would be upset at you. I mean, the Chinese Lola would be upset at you for minding her business. Like, and even at the McDonald's there, they hire senior citizens. And they're busy as a bee. They cannot sit still. Even if, let's say, maybe the society would tolerate it, it's in their system. Which is the same way with Japanese, but it's just the opposite. With the Japanese, everything is sort of, everything's regulated, everything is measured, everything is thought of. I mean, even in the way they prepare their food, even in their service, their airline, how they take care of their customers, even in this, they just have a certain way or an approach to things. And us being Filipinos, we're a mixed bag. So, some of us are that way, some of us are this way. Whereas with them, it's such a definite culture that hasn't been mixed in or spiked with anything else, that particular purity of their behavior, their DNA has been retained through generations. That's why the Japanese are the same way. It's like it's that comes from the way back. The bowing. I mean, they still bow, for crying out loud. I mean, who bows now? I mean, even Queen Elizabeth doesn't demand her guards to bow at her. I mean, but still they retain that. For you to retain that to even the younger generation, the next generation, they would still be obedient enough to.
Because they're very traditional. They're like tradition dies hard in Japan. That's how they are.
Exactly. Because
So
of
it's just
because of how the people are too, they hold on to it. Like it's not like they're communists and they're forced to do it and they would be beheaded if they don't bow. They actually sure as I can skip on that and nothing terrible will happen. But it's just that themselves as people, they live by this code of like they don't look for happiness. Their happiness lies in being
that's
obedient.
why that's why it's a lonely planet here, because of that certain. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like that's why we're like considered as one of the happiest people on earth, because we couldn't care less what other people
Exactly.
think. As long as
Exactly.
we're having fun, I'm like, I don't care. Like if
Exactly.
you want to be like we are always like, if you want to be miserable. I don't care. I want to be happy. Like
That's
like leave me
that-
alone. Like
that's where you see the difference between countries who are, let's say, I don't want to use the term more patriotic, but they succeed, solidly as as countrymen. I'm not saying that we don't or other countries don't, but it's just they move in the same direction. They all move in the same direction. Like that's why it's easier for people like that to, let's say, be economically successful. Like, for example, there's already like a standard that is labeled for their work ethic and their standard of quality alone. Like, let's say Italians. Italian leather. Why is Italian leather famous, popular? Why are Italian cars revered? Why is German automotive technology revered? Because of how the German people are when it comes to production and producing those things. It's not because they have good steel, or it's not because Italians have good leather. No, they take pride in their craftsmanship. It's a part of their DNA. And it's not that Pinoys are tamad. It's just that Italians are that way. Like, look at Italians, man. Most of Italians, when you go to a restaurant and it's owned by an Italian, they'll say, it's the recipe of my mama or my grandma in Sicily. They would still retain those things. And even no matter how modern the world may be, they will still have that. It's because it's in their DNA. They retain that stuff. They're not too open with new and other things. Like, maybe they're not as open to foreigners as, let's say, we are. Maybe they don't look at Britney Spears, or they don't look at, Bruno Mars or whoever else as highly as we do. Maybe Italians are not freaking out over Rihanna as much as we are, because they see themselves on a pedestal. Like whereas with us, we're looking up. With them, they're looking down. I mean, we're Italians, we're French. I'm not gonna hail Kanye as my king. Like, I come from the lineage of Napoleon Bonaparte. I come from a lineage of great architects and great painters and artists. We don't have anything like that. We don't have anything that we can really brag about that's like a certain standard. The only thing we're famous for is Filipino time, and that's for being late. Whereas other countries are known for certain achievements, and that's why they retain it, and that's why they take pride in it, because it's in their system. And I think that's just how it is. I mean, it's just how it is. We can't say it's the government that control them. Like, you're Japan, you've lived there long enough, you still can't figure it out because you're not Japanese. I bet if you were Japanese, your wife could probably figure it out because she's part Japanese. She could probably see that.
No, she's still baffled. Like, even Japanese people, they'd be like, "Why do you do it?" Like, no, we just do it. And it's even if they, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many things here that they do that it's kind of like, wow, what, like a lot of foreigners would be questioning, like, not just Filipinos, but other foreigners, like, why do they always do like, no, it's like, all right, it's just the way they are. It's like,
it's not so normal. Hard. Yeah, it's not normal.
It's not normal.
By world standard, not just like us Filipino standard, but like by world standard.
So it's kind of, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's like, all right, whatever.
I wonder how we'd like to marry a Japanese woman, or I mean, it seems like it's easier for Japanese men to marry or to be in a relationship with a Filipina than a Japanese woman be with a Filipino. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like, okay, all these men who like who met Filipinas, and they're like, all right, because they always say that, like, because like Filipinos are warm, and we have that certain camaraderie that, you know what I'm saying.
So they want that. So they want that.
Like, these guys who end up like, because okay, here's the thing. The only guys who end up meeting all these Filipinas are the guys who go into, like these hostess club, right?
Yeah.
And it's because by nature they do not really engage other people. They do not talk. We are people who, like, if we're at the airport, we start talking to other people, and we make friends. They're not that type. They're not those small talk type of people, right? And so it's kind of hard for them. But these guys who go into like these clubs and they start, like meeting other people from different, nationalities, and like in certain clubs like Filipino clubs, they meet all these Filipinos or some from their women, and they kind of like, wow, like, oh, I never thought that people can be like this, that they'd actually like talk to you and listen to your bullshit. Like, I mean, that's what we do. We listen to each other's bullshit, right? That's how we are. You take your wife's bullshit and your wife takes your bullshit, and you just have this big bullshit going on in your house, and like, yeah, you're happy with all the bullshit that's going on. And, but they don't have that, man. I mean, they just like go home, the food's there, everybody's asleep, and they're fine with it. Like, all right, fine. I mean, that's just the way it is. And there's not much talking. There's not much relationship going on. For them. It's like, well, I went to work, so I mean, don't. I don't want to be bothered. And the wife as well is like, all right, fine, all right, okay, I'll cook you food. There's nothing to talk about. No, all right. And it's
Yeah.
like, are you okay? Do you want food or like no? And that's it. And that's the end of it.
I mean, when they go to school, they go to school. When they go to church, when they go to work, they go to work. Think about us. When we go to school, are we really like when you wake up in the morning? Are you like looking at the mirror, going, "I'm going to be focused. I'm going to learn today. Today is about learning. Today is about no. We're excited about seeing our friends. We're excited about wearing our new clothes. We're excited about seeing our crush. That's what school is for us. Like the learning part is like the what part that's like, why do we have to do that, right?
Right.
But them, it's not. For them, it's like they're not preoccupied with the distractions. They're there. It's an institution. I'm supposed to be there to learn. So when I
It's
go
like
to a
always
club,
like
I'm there to have
certain
fun.
things and certain like traditions or whatever. Like you have to do certain things.
Yes.
At certain moments.
Yes.
To certain people and
Yes.
whatever. It's just like too much of that.
They
It's
even
sad.
have dishes that only prepared for certain seasons. You know what I'm saying? Like this,
Exactly.
this to celebrate the moon something. This celebrate the spring, autumn, whatever. So you drink soup or whatever. They have stuff like that that we don't really give a damn about. Like it doesn't matter to us. But I don't know what it is about. I don't know what it is about the Japanese. But there are certain things that they don't. It's not a big deal to them. First off, tables and chairs. Not a big deal to them. Right? It's okay for them to be on the floor. I mean, you see, like it's like for us, like no matter how poor you are, I mean, as much as possible, you want to have like a dining set or something. Like I don't know why, but I don't mind eating on the floor to be honest. But Filipinos have that attitude, like you don't eat on the floor. Hey, like even my in-laws would tell me like if I'm eating standing up, they'd be like, or like, you
Okay.
know,
Like they don't hum, they don't whistle, they don't sing.
they don't.
You never do that.
No,
Like in the Philippines, you can see like someone
Thais don't
singing,
do
like,
that too.
"Doo-doo-doo-doo," and
Yeah, yeah.
like, dude, like what's wrong? Like
It's a
and
very
if you do
Filipino.
that, if you do that, they'd be like, you're looking at you like, how are you like being? It's like like to me, it's like I've done that, and you get that look, and you'd be like, all right, fine, I'll just. But in my head, I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
what is it bothering you? I mean,
that's tough,
really,
man.
that's how sad you are in life. That like you'd be like, why are you so like that? That already bothered you. It's not even like loud. Like I'm not even rowdy, and it's just like
No,
annoying.
no, no, because there's a
Can't do
place for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically it. There's a place for that for them. They're already
Yeah, I know. See,
preconditioned for it.
yeah, that is how I think stressful it is for them because they always have a place for like what you. What you have to be in a certain place to do that? I mean, what if you're at that certain place and you're not in the mood to do that? Because these things are in mood. Like you don't do that every day. It's just like, whoo, you saw your crush, whatever. You start humming or whatever. You start singing
Dude,
something.
they,
And
they,
you're like,
they,
holy
they,
crap.
they don't have those moods. It's just like, okay, this should not be interpreted as like a racist or like a profiling remark, but let's say black folks. Like, black folks, I went to school in the States. Dude, I always say to myself, I don't want to have a locker right next to like a black dude or like because they're noisy and they know that they're loud and they'll brag about it. Like the principal will tell them, "Why are you loud, lady, Miss whatever, Miss Watson?" So you're like, "Why? You got a problem?" I mean, they will talk back to the teacher. They'll get sent to the principal's office. They're fine. They're always traveling in groups but they're loud. It comes from their African roots. What do the Africans do in the jungle? They're like dancing and bouncing around with their spears and like singing stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how they were. No, you don't go to you don't. It's rarely you see a black folk who's like quiet and reserved, right? They're usually kind of loud. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're like that. Filipinos are like that. Filipinos are loud. We like to sing. So it's in their DNA, and that's exactly how the Japanese are. They're the other way around. They're like you're loud and obnoxious, like they look at you differently. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
like I'm here and I'm like, all right, fine.
But we're in between. We're in between
But
of that.
it's still like in my head, it's just like, oh, how it's I mean, how sad to be in a situation like that. Like you can't, I mean, you can't even like, there was one time that I was looking for my school, and I couldn't find it, so I asked, like, there were two old couple who were walking, and I said like, oh, do you know where this elementary school is? This was like years ago, like more than 10 years ago, and they were like, well, all right, okay, we'll ride with you, we'll take you there. so that you can. So see, they're very polite and they're very nice, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they offer that, like, okay, we'll get in the car with you and we'll take you there. And all right, cool. But then when they got in and my music was playing, and they told me like, oh, you shouldn't be playing music while you're driving because it's dangerous. I was like, all right. I was like, all right, okay. I turned out my music, whatever, and like they took me there. But I'm like, it just baffled me, like, wow, that was like, I don't know if they were just old or you know what I'm saying. If it's just like,
Yeah.
so what do you do in your car? Like, what, you like look at the road, and
Yeah.
like what? I mean, you just like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at the road while driving. What if you
No, but
drive for
but,
2
but see, but
hours?
you see, their explanation would be, that's what the car is for. You're not in the car to dance. It's not a disco place. It's not. It's a car. It's just meant to bring you from one
Yeah,
place to
and
the
I
other.
wouldn't be surprised if one day you jump off a building. Of course,
Yeah,
you're gonna do that.
that's why they do that. See, exactly. That's why they have a high suicide rate. Because they don't have a, like I said,
They don't have
that's-
a like how they don't know how to blow off steam. You know what I'm saying? Probably like
they try not to build up steam to begin with, because like I said, there's not a lot of drama in their life to begin with. Like even in their relationships, they have to ask each other if they can eat this food. They can eat.
you don't know that. I mean, it's a job. I mean, but by definition, it's a job. Nobody wants to be there. You know what I'm saying? It's a freaking job. Once it's a job, you always like, oh man, it's a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, not only, I mean, even if you're an actor, it's like it's still a job. Like some people, like, oh man, I have to do this again. I have to, I have to be somewhere to do a shooting or whatever. It's a job. That's why you always have like, you have to have
Yeah,
ways
but
how to
but
release all these.
But
things.
that's why they don't
Feelings
have that.
inside.
That's why they don't have that, premeditated negative thoughts about a job, because they embrace and accept it, and they don't have other distractions awaiting them, because they know that at the time of work, all their mind is on focus on work. Like whereas with Filipinos, we're at work, but we're focused on where our friends are. We're focused on, oh, I could be at this sale. We're focused on, oh, my show is showing. Oh, you're focused on, like, you have so many things, so many options to be doing at that time that you're doing something else. So then you feel like it's a job because you could be doing something. But for them, no, they already have Saturday to look forward to be with their friends, and that's it. Like their job
No,
can't
they
be
don't-
in the
no,
way.
They don't.
Oh, they don't
stay
even
at
like,
home.
They don't even do that.
Like,
So
they
you
don't
see,
even do that.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like that's what I'm saying.
They
I'm
see
saying.
their friends. So that's what we talked about this before. Like they have like basketball friends. Like they don't have friends.
I know.
We have like that's what I've been telling them. Like no, I play basketball with my friends. I don't have basketball friends. Like if they're not my friends, I'm not gonna play with them. That's what we are. Like or if I go to some like some basketball group that's been introduced to me by my friend, and I have a friend there who plays. That's why I play there. It's like, but because we have a relationship. After the
Yeah.
basketball is just an excuse to see each other. We play basketball, but what's special is what comes after the basketball. Like like all
The
right,
hanging
hey,
out.
right? Yeah. Here it's just like they just play basketball and they go home, and that's it. Like there's no hanging out.
That's
Like,
why
they
they.
hang-
That's why they
you
create.
see a lot of.
That's why they
you see-
created video games, dude. What are you talking about?
That's why
Because
you
that
see a lot
they
of
don't have
people-
friends.
Dude, the only time that they have that moment to talk to somebody outside of their family or whatever is at the parking lot. If they're like with you see
Smoking
that a lot.
cigarettes.
No. Like if, for example, like you're with like a coworker or whatever, and like you're about to go home. Like sometimes it like or at the swimming school, right? So you have all these kids go to like swimming, and there are other mothers there, and the mothers they take that time to like talk to like the other mothers because that's the only time they have.
Yeah.
Like all right, so when the kids are done, even if the kids are done, they still like take a little bit more time because that's the only time that they have, because after they've separated, they've gone home, that's it. Like there's no, like they're not going to see other people again. Unlike us, we'd always be like constantly like, all right, so who are we seeing this weekend? All right, like all right, or who am I seeing this weekend or whatever. Like from time to time you have that. If you want, like all right, okay, we're going to the mall. Like even if you're not planning to see anybody, you will eventually see somebody at the mall because everybody's at the mall. You'll see a friend there and you have that small talk and whatever. And that's just it's just so yeah, it's that's why you don't need like you know what I'm saying? We don't need therapists because we already have like
don't.
we talked about this. Like we
don't.
already talked out because we there's always like somebody to talk to. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I really hate my boss today. Like, well, what happened? Like, you can even like talk to You can even talk to just a random stranger, or like
Yeah.
a person that you
Yeah.
haven't seen for
You,
ages.
you're waiting for the jeep or something, standing there like dugay sa jeep. Like, dugay no. Like, I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just how we
Like,
are. And
right? Or
and
even if like, okay, you bump into a friend you haven't seen in like what, like 5 years, and then you start talking about you like, oh, how's it? We're like, oh man, I hate my coworker right now. Like she wouldn't even know about it. And be like, really? And that person that you're talking to would be like, really? Who's the person? Do I know this person? Like, I think you've met him or you've met her one time. Like, oh really? Oh yeah, I remember. Like, see, they don't have that here. They don't
okay,
ask questions. They don't want to
now
know about it.
I totally get why you went through your like mental health issues, man. I mean, if I don't know, I might I mean I'm pretty strong like as a loner person, whatever, but with people who are like that and just how they are, that's tough, dude. I mean,
Right? Like
it's
we
tough.
would like you would come in and I'm ending my show, but I would like sit there for a few more
Yeah,
minutes or
for like
even
30 more minutes.
We'd be
Yeah.
talking about nothing.
Yes. Yes.
I'd be just like be doing
As if we didn't just see each other yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the F, dude? What update do we need? We just saw each other the other day, but we still have something to talk about. We still have something to talk about. Dude, that's. I know your screen's frozen, but you actually look like. You were, dude, your screen was actually frozen for a while. You're going like this. Exactly
I know.
like. Was that an effect? What was that? That
no,
was
it's like
cool.
something happened to the internet.
Yeah, okay. See, Jetboy is saying Goods would miss you. He heard about the news already, so he found out. No, Jetboy is not technically a Bakaka boy. He's an Anda boy, but
It's like an adopted.
he hung out with us. Yeah, and Goods sister has a store downtown in Bolton, which is like near Jetboy. So sometimes we'd hang out at Jetboy's Optical. Sometimes Jetboy would hang out at the Goods store, and it's so sudden, man. The last time I saw him, we were out drinking. We went drinking at Comedor when he was still here near where Sogo Hotel is now. And he brought a girl with him, and because he's separated, he brought a girl with him, and like the girl was like throwing up and stuff, and you had to bring her home. And you live a wild life. If you live a wild life at a certain point in your life, that's fine. But if you live a wild life, even at this point stage in your life, it's gonna take its toll on you, and I think it took its toll on him. So, anyways, yeah. Rest in peace to Goods. So so I mean, like I said, for example, let's say you're mourning the death of someone or whatever. Well, let's just say, you got separated from your wife, or let's say you lost your job.
You can't talk to anybody about that,
Imagine
yeah.
being in Japan, right? Like going through that, and you go inside your apartment, and you're alone, and you have to
My
absorb
neighbor
all that.
died.
Oh
My neighbor
God.
died. I didn't even know about it. Right?
Shit.
So it was just like I stopped seeing the guy because like okay, my house, right, the one to my right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the husband, the wife was really nice. They're retired and whatnot. But the husband, he was kind of like sort of, I mean, a typical old person,
Yeah.
cranky and always, not in the mood or whatever. So
Yeah.
no, I've never talked to the guy, but I see him at the supermarket and buying stuff and whatever. Then I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. Then I found out that he got sick or something. Maybe he got stroke. Because I talked to the woman, it's like, oh, my family's coming over. This was 2019.
Yeah.
My family will be here, so if we will probably get a little bit loud. So I would like to apologize. If please do tell us if if we are like just being loud. And they were like, no, it's fine. Like, oh, and I would like to like ask for an apology as well because maybe there will be people coming here. I was like, well, wait, what's going on? Like, oh, my husband is in he needs care and whatever, so there might be people coming in and out. And like, oh, what happened to your husband? Like, oh, we found out that he had stroke, right? So okay, like, oh, I hope he gets well and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. And then that was that uneventful, like I mean, that clearly they couldn't hear us. I mean, the distance is so yeah, we didn't cause any trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I think 3 months has passed, 4 months, and I think like the Lola just gave me something. Like they usually do that, like vegetables, fruits, or whatever. So
Yeah.
she gave me something that day, and I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. And I asked her like, oh, how's your husband? Is he feeling better now? Is he okay now? And all of a sudden, dude, she just broke down and crying. She was just like, oh, he's gone. It was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, like, I didn't know. And And it was like, no, no, it's fine. Like, and she apologized for her crime. I was like, no, 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 it's fine. If you need somebody to talk to, like, so we talked for a little bit, and I mean, but then I was just like so surprised, like, dude, if that happened in our like village, if that's like a street, everybody would know about it, and
Okay.
everybody would be in the house. They would
Exactly.
be there for like, right. Filipinos would be like, they would be there for a
Mga
week
pi.
just
Mga
to
pi,
check
yeah.
on you, mga pit, to check on you. Doesn't matter, man. They check on you no matter what. But here's
Yeah.
like, dude, we didn't even know about it. The other neighbor didn't even know about it. Because when my wife talked to the other neighbor, the one on my left, they didn't know about it too. I'm like, that's just how, you know what I'm saying? Like, how
You
can
know,
it be? Like,
you know,
you don't have to go through it alone.
you know what would be
You're supposed to
creepier
be,
is like,
right?
if you like, what would be creepier is like you didn't know about it, and then like you saw him like knocking on your door or something all of a sudden. You found out like,
Borrowing something. But dude, I mean, I can see my future now. It's just like, oh, it's just so bad. Like, it's like that here. Like, we're neighbors, but we're not. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we're neighbors, but we're not. I don't see them. We don't talk to each other. Like, I've been here going 4 years, dude. I don't know anybody here. Like, I know the like from the like from the next block. There are like people there who's like Snow's age, and I
Yeah.
know their mom or whatever. But we don't have a relationship. We just like say hi, hello, but there's nothing. We don't talk. I don't ask them how their how their days are going. Like, we don't have that. So it's just like, so I mean, you would say like, well, yeah, we're not, but no, but I mean, if you go to your parties or whatever, you would talk to the guys there. You
Of
would know
course.
what's happening on with their like in their jobs or whatever, like their
Of
kids,
course.
like what sports they're into. Like, you would know, right? And you would have like this talk like from time to time, and it's that's just how it is there. Here, there is nothing. You just like konnichiwa, and that's the end of it. You'll have like a small talk for about 2 3 minutes, and that's the end of it. And there's it's just nothing. And you just it's there's nobody's gonna be here for you.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
government welfare and whatever, there's something like that, like in America, food stamps or whatever, but
Yeah.
nobody would care for you. In the Philippines, you don't have the government doesn't have your back, but a lot of people would have your
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Friends,
That's I agree.
neighbors, like they
I
can't
agree.
offer much, but whatever they have, they would give. That's just
We, we,
this
we,
is how
we, we we
Filipinos
take
are.
that for granted, but then again, why not? That's just how Filipinos are. Like,
Yeah, I know.
you
It's
know,
like pros and cons, like I said, pros and cons. So it's just like
yeah.
sometimes, like you're saying, like sometimes when I'm there, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get out of here. But yeah, I mean, in times like that, you'd be like, oh, I just wish I see my friends, I see people, and like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
just so loose. It's like, you know, I remember that. Like, I come after you,
That's why
you come after me. We have that.
that's why I have this like like I never really like thought so much about before they were glorifying OFWs, like Gary V had this commercial, kahit tagal mo nang nawala, babalik ka rin. And it's like you don't really like sympathize with them so much because you think they have a lot of money and they get to live in a first world country and whatnot. Then you realize that there are certain countries that are like that and they are away from their family, and these people come from provinces where everybody's so close knit and everything is so like right next to each other, and all of a sudden he's brought out of that element and now has to like live in a little bunkhouse and has to deal with like accepting the fact that he won't see his family until after his contract, where he can come home, and yeah, after 3 years. I mean, dude, that's now I'm like, dang, I cannot be an OFW. Like unless maybe kapit sa patalim na kami, and my kids are dying of hunger already, then whatever. I'll eat shit if I have to. But if you still have a choice, um, you know, because we glorify people who will go abroad. Like, buti ka pa. And, you have, the wife will envy the friend, and will pressure the husband, buti pa siya, no, nakaano. I mean, like, you obviously haven't been on that side of the fence. Okay, let's see first. Prove something. Go on that side of the fence, and let's see you don't break down. Let's see you don't go through a mental issue. Let's say you don't regret, right?
I
Then you
always
tell
tell
me about
people.
it.
I always
Right?
tell people about like going abroad or whatever. Like, no, if you have a nice job there, stay there. Why would you want to go somewhere? Why would you want to go in a strange land? It doesn't matter if it's America, Canada, Australia, Japan, China, Singapore. Dude, it's strange to you. It's a strange
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
You're an immigrant.
It
You're
it's
immigrating there.
you can buy. I've heard stories of like people will go to like the States or whatever, and all of a sudden like they've only been there a year, they're already driving a Mercedes Benz or whatever. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm good. If that brings you all the joy in the world, fine. Go there, buy a Mercedes Benz or whatever. But remember this: Walmart, Target, whatever, they don't sell peace of mind. They don't sell companionship. They don't sell somebody will a shoulder to lean on or to cry on or somebody to laugh with. Those things you cannot buy. I don't
Yeah.
care. Those things are not
Yeah.
in the Philippines. It's free. It's free.
It's
You know what I'm saying?
like I
It's
don't,
free.
I would like to think that up until now it still happens. Like for example, when I was a kid growing up, there's no like I told you, like people here are a sucker for plans. They always plan things, whereas back back in the Philippines, right? Like
If you
there,
plan it, it doesn't happen. That's what they say.
yeah,
Pag
right.
maplano, di madayon, right?
You'd probably be walking to the basketball court because you're looking for Raj, and all of a sudden you
Yes.
pass by your neighbor's
Yeah,
house, and
yeah,
your
that's
neighbor's
it.
having a barbecue,
And that's
they'd be
it.
like,
Yeah, the-
"Hey, Raj, you doing something?" Like, "No, not really." Like, "Where are you going?"
That's
Like,
it.
"Went to
That's your
my
night.
kid." I'm like,
And that's
"Hey,
your
kid,
night.
come on, like, come back." And you'd be like, "Really?" Like, "Yeah, my friends are coming over. Come back." And you'd like take Raj home, and you'd go back, and you'd
You'll
like
have a
hang out there
blast.
for about an
Yeah.
hour or two, right? It doesn't happen here. Never, never. It only happened to me once when I was like running, and I saw the teacher who I work with, and she was just so surprised. Like, I said to him, like, "Yeah, like, where do you like? Why are you here?" I'm like, "No, I just live over there." Like, "Really?" And she's like, "Come on, like, you stay here. Like, are you well, like, no, I can sit." And we just started like that was the first time that it happened to me. Like, we had an instant party. Like, it's not a party, but it was an instant. Like, all right,
Get together.
she she got the neighbor who can speak English, who lived in California, and like, hey, and like we started like hanging out there, and it was like it wasn't planned, and it was like, wow. So she was a strange woman for Japanese people. She was
Yes,
strange.
yes,
She
yes,
did that.
yes.
Like
She was-
no normal Japanese would do that.
She's like
So
Yoko Ono.
so she was strange, and the neighbor was strange because that person like he grew up. No, he lived in America, so he got that foreigner vibe. Like, no, it doesn't have to be planned. Yeah, I have time. I'll do that. So it doesn't happen here. And my dad, so many times it happens. Like my dad would just be walking to the tennis court, and all of a sudden, like
Pag-uwi, ubog na. Pag-uwi, ubog.
no, right? Because like,
Ako nag-tennis.
then my mom like, "Where's your dad?" Like, "Oh, nailang Uncle Jun." Like, "What happened?" "Oh, nani, abot magod si Uncle Loloy."
Nasangit, nasangit, nasangit.
Yeah, because well, like why? Because Uncle Loloy was there because he felt like going to visit Uncle June, and my dad was like, I was even walking. He's like, "Ritz, where's your papa?" I'm like, "Oh, in the house." Tawaga. Like, and I would call my dad, and they'd be there for like 5-6 hours, and they just like started
That's it,
drinking,
yo.
and every guy in the street would be there. Uncle Baby, like Uncle Jesse, like everybody would be there.
Yeah, and and there's nothing fancy going on, tinapa lang na naiitlog or something. It doesn't matter, like as long as that's what I'm saying. It's like that stuff like that. It's for us Filipinos. That's very essential because it's in our blood. Like even if I'm in the States, even if it's still inside me. I mean, I miss my friend, like the Bakaka boys. Brando and Mama just dropped by. We were talking for a little bit. Telling me about Goods' situation, and they were here earlier, and we were talking by the gate, and I told them to come in, and they didn't want to come in because they were just passing by. They just wanted to drop by and tell me about the situation, and I'm like, no, you come in because they knew that if they walked inside the gates and I bring out my single malt whiskey, that's it. They're not going home. You know what I'm saying? I will not be able to do the show. You know what I'm saying? So they knew it. So you do not walk inside the gate and the premises of your friend's house if they invite you in. Because once you do, there's no going home.
That's the end of it.
Wala na. Patay. It's like, bahala na si Mrs. dito. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it.
So,
But anyway.
it's not just my dad's time. It's not just my dad's time. Because I remember us, like at the Midlands, because like we were called the Midland Boys. Like you were the Bakaka Boys, right? So,
Yeah.
Like, so it would be there. Then all of a sudden, like a friend's friend, just can't, like just visited, and like it'd be like, "Oh, Aying's here," or whatever, and they're drinking, and like really, and like where's whatever, and like all right, then my brother would go there. Then we would like just eventually, all right, I'll just go there. I don't drink, but I would hang out. Then they'd start talking shit, and we'd be laughing. And I'd be like, I'd stay there until like in the wee hours in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
there's nothing going on there. They were just like they were just drinking beer, and it was talking
But it's
shit.
it's much better than lying down in bed by yourself with negative thoughts.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean-
so that was like so that's the thing. It's like, oh, I miss those days. And here, no matter how, like I told you, even with Filipinos, it's kind of hard. Like that's why you cannot blame them if they're having parties. They're making excuses and whatnot. You cannot blame them because, yeah, I mean, it's a bother to other people, but for the most part, like Filipinos here don't care.
It's what keeps them sane.
Yeah, it's because it's what and-
recharging you emotionally. It's recharging
Yeah.
you emotionally.
So they never go through anything like that because they're just like there, and they're talking to everybody, and they're just like they're talking about like their heartaches and whatever, and And yeah, the police comes and they just deal with the police, and the police is like, can you keep it down or whatever. And I mean, they're not getting shot or anything. It's not like
Yeah.
America where like you get shot.
Yeah.
Like that's why they don't get scared, because the police can't do anything. They just like go there and tell you like, oh, can you keep it quiet because your neighbors are, or like,
Complaining.
or like they're complaining. Can you just like take it inside a house and try to keep it down? I mean, there's not really like, don't do it, like don't
Yeah.
have parties. No, they
Yeah.
can't do that. No, that's like you can have whatever. So if there's a complaint, they just like respond to it, and they just like whatever. And one like I told you what happened, right? Like last Saturday, did we have a show? And did
No,
I
I
tell
don't
you what
know.
happened?
No, no, we didn't do the Saturday thing. No, what
You didn't
happened?
do the Saturday thing. Okay, what happened was there was this Filipina, Filipina in a freaking drugstore, but it's sort of like a supermarket, but it's a drugstore. So I went in to get something like a jelly, right? An energy like jelly. So it was like a quick stop, and I was thinking like, oh, I should get it at the other like drugstore, which is near my place. But it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll just take it here, so that like it would be faster, I guess, and I would be late to the basketball game. So I was like, all right, I'll go to this particular drugstore, which is near Snow's piano teacher's place.
Yeah.
I stopped there, and when I went in, I saw at the corner of my eye, I saw this like I'm pretty sure like she was like wearing a cap, and because she was speaking in Bisaya, so it's like she caught my
Yeah.
attention. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Te, wala si Kuya Te pa adto diri bi kay kailangan kog suyako." I think she like she needs an interpreter. She was like
Yeah.
Suyako's
Yeah.
interpreter.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
ano kay magnawag nagpulis. So I didn't. So I was like, so I just
Yeah.
grabbed the jelly quickly. So I was like trying to eavesdrop, because she looks like she was like in trouble, and she was like, "Wag kay strikta kay ning babae ba? Hindi ko palakpon. Nawag nagpulis niya. Wait siya ako diri." So I was like looking at her, and she's a lesbian, right? So
Hmm.
wearing a cap, and I think she was pretty young. So I was like, all right. So I was like looking at her, and she was looking at me too. I was like, all right. And my wife's in the car, right? So
Hmm.
I paid for it, and I tried to delay because I wanted to get more information.
Yeah.
So like, all right. So I'm like, all right, the police are coming, and I was trying to look at if she stole something or whatever. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like looking at the staff, but the staff's demeanor wasn't like agitated or anything. But I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
like
yeah.
another person there was like like a little bit agitated, and
Yeah.
like the demeanor is like not really cool. So it's like, all right, so it's not it's she probably didn't do something in the freaking drugstore. So I was like, all right. I went inside the car, and I told my wife like, oh, there's somebody there in trouble. Bisaya. And I said like, Bisaya pa jud, and I think she needs help. Can you go check? Can you go check in, and like check with her? Like maybe
Interpret.
she needs help. And it's like try to. So my wife, it took a while. She was also eavesdropping. She didn't want to try to get
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
like their business, and she did something really bad. So she was like, so she was there, and she was just like, she was trying to get a wind of what happened,
Yeah.
and the girl was still talking to somebody on the phone, and she was like, I really need someone to like to help me or whatever. And
Yeah.
then so she asked the staff like, oh, like, and the staff like, no, it's not us, it's like, all right. So my wife got it. So she kind of like started speaking in Bisaya to her. She was like, Langga, you need help? She was like, Langga, kailangan kag tabang. And she broke down in tears, and she was like, Pindi Pilipina ka te. Like, oh
Mm.
my god.
So
She
speaking
broke
of-
down in tears.
Yeah. Oh
And
my God.
so she was like, what happened? And she explained to my wife that, oh, I went inside the toilet, and when I was coming out, this girl, like like I was on my way out. This woman was on her way in, and she came back out, and she started harassing me. She started like, oh, you're not a woman. Why are you like? Because she thought
Oh.
that
Yeah,
she
because
was a
actually a
guy.
lesbian. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was a lesbian. She was like wearing a cap. Well,
Oh
she had, like, a
man.
boy
Yeah. Yeah.
cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she started harassing her, and she asked for her like alien residence card and what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody can do that except the police, right?
Yes,
She
yes.
did that. She started harassing her, and she was like, "No, I'm gonna call the police. Why are you inside the toilet?
So
Why did
your
you go in
wife-
there, blah blah."
Yeah.
And so like she wouldn't let her leave. Like, no, I'll call the police. And my wife was like, "All right, was that what's happened? Like, what did you do?" So like, no, I was just like, I fixed my hair. I took a selfie. Nobody was in there, right? And I came out, and she was.
And
on
she's
her
a
way
woman.
in.
Well, she's
Yeah,
lesbian, but she's a woman.
And they weren't even in the same room at the same time, right?
Yeah.
She was on her way out, and she was on her way in, and so my wife's like, all right, just keep cool. Yeah. She was like, yeah, palitong ko rin kaso ni mo. Like, so she started like, and she was so surprised that my wife can speak really like like really good Japanese, and
Yeah.
because she was like saying like, oh, like what's the matter? Because in the beginning, like the person was with another man, but not with a husband. I don't know if they were like fling or whatever, if they were just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know, Tinder matches, whatever. But
Yeah.
because I think they were like banking. The guy was like not appreciative of what what her companion did, because she
Mm-hmm.
knows that there's something off with that. But
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, they're together, so he can't, he just all right, whatever. So they were banking on like, well, he's a foreigner, she's a foreigner, she can't speak well, and we can
Yeah.
just like twist it and make it her fault or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Make it look like, oh, whatever. So my wife was there. She's like, no, what's wrong with it? She's a woman, and why did you ask for her like residence card? You can't do that. My wife started saying that you can't do that. Why did you do that? And you already saw that it's a woman, right? Why do you have
Yeah.
to push? What's wrong with you? So she was so grateful to my wife because my wife was pushing back, and she was like, no, she was like, don't say anything. Let me do the talking. And she was like, what did you do? And she was like, now they were asking me if you're a woman or a guy, or I don't know, like the feeling, like are you a woman or are you whatever? And hey, pretty girl, pretty put, pretty put. Like, no, you know what? I'm gonna leave that out because like we can deal with it like on a later date. But let me do the talking. I'll just tell them that you're a girl and you just like dress like that, because you're boyish or whatever. So my wife said that, and she tried to, but that's the thing, man. I mean, so me, I was like, I don't normally do that. I don't get, but I saw like, you see, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I think I would like to think that if there was another Filipino person there who could have who could speak like really good Japanese, they would do the same. Because me, I don't, me, I avoid Filipinos like a plague. But at that particular moment, I was like, you need to check in there. You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
check with her there. I think
Yeah.
she's in trouble. And she was like so happy. And even the police officers were like, oh, you're not together? Like, no, no, no. My husband just saw her and she was in trouble. And like, I'm not with her. And her cousin already arrived, and he can speak really good Japanese. I think he grew up here. So
Yeah.
he was like telling the police, like, can I leave now? Because they also got her details as a witness. And they're like, oh,
Mhm.
you're not together? Like, no, no. I just like, like her cousin's already here and he can speak pretty well. And so so I was just, it was like sort of a message that I would like to send to people. Like, no, you cannot just like push people that way. You can't just like accuse people of doing things when they're, I mean, if she stole something, whatever, like, yeah, fine. But she didn't do anything. It was just because she
Yeah.
was, and the person too was like blurting out like, oh, you're a guy Coco, whatever. You're a foreigner. They were trying to do that. And my wife's like,
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with her being a foreigner. What are you talking about? Because she was like trying to push that too. Like most Japanese with it, like when I had that car accident as well, that person like did that as well. It wasn't my fault. And he was like using the gaijin car, like the foreigner
Yeah.
car, like, well, you're a foreigner. And my mechanic was like, who's like who's really well exposed to foreigners. Like he was like just so mad, like, that's why you saying that, like, why do you like that's like strange, right? Like he was like so mad that's not the right, because they would use that, to pin you or something. So it's kind of weird, man. So it's
Well, that was, you know what? Hey, that was a great gesture, man. That was, you were a blessing that night for sure for that woman. I mean,
no, I didn't care if I would be late at basketball. I was just like, no, because I really saw her. She
No,
was
your
like-
your heart will sing. It's a Filipino, It's like Bisaya pa jud. I mean, you have that connection, and you could tell. I mean, you probably knew that she didn't know what she was doing. She might have just been misinterpreted. I mean, maybe because you were leaning towards that. That's why you kind of spoke to your wife and asked her to do it. But hey, kudos to you and your wifey. I mean, you did that woman a favor, man, whatever she is. Either way, she was lucky that you guys were there.
You know what her name is? Like her real name?
Junior,
No, no, no.
Cyrus?
Her real name is like so funny. It's like my wife's like, oh, she added me on Facebook. Like, oh, look at the name. It's like Apple Scarlet. Apple Scarlet. My wife laughed when she was like,
Sounds like a-
the police were like asking for her name, right? So like it's like, oh, langga sa yung pangalan. It's like, oh, Apple Scarlet. And my wife like actually laughed at her, like, that's your name? Like, yeah,
sounds like a porn star's name.
it was like,
All right.
it's like ladylike
Anyways.
name, Apple Scarlet.
Well,
like,
you've won a new friend. All right, so what are we doing the next show?
I don't know. Like, are we gonna do? Yeah, we're gonna do it Sunday, right?
Yes, because tomorrow the in-laws are gonna be here. We're
Okay.
gonna have a party. So
okay.
this is the
Oh, what do you have
party
in mind?
party up. For Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, anything goes, man. I mean, we didn't have anything planned for today, so we'll see.
Alright, okay.
We'll start with
Alright.
something. We'll start with like an episode that happened, and then we'll take it from there. We'll take turns, updating.
Okay,
And
let's do.
I mean, I didn't
Sunday.
even know that happened until you told me. So that was a good story to share. And that's the Filipino way, and that's just how we roll. So if you have an opportunity to help out a Filipino wherever you may be, help out a Filipino. If Iceman was avoiding Pinoys like the plague can do it, you can do it too. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll see you Sunday. Better to confirm it earlier so that like we don't make plans anymore for like later in the day. I bet I'm probably gonna have a hangover anyway, so I'm not gonna be doing anything.
No,
So,
I'm probably just gonna. No, nighttime I'll be here. I leave like it's a day thing. I'll be back before the show.
All right.
So yeah,
All right.
we'll do it
All
Sunday.
right.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us, folks, and the OK Show. on
And
Friday.
condolence again to the family of my fellow Bakaka
Right,
boyfriend,
Goods.
Goods.
Yeah, rest in
So,
peace.
Rest in peace, brother. All right.
All right.
So see you, man.
guys on Sunday. All right, Iceman Rodriguez. We are out.